Silver around $85. Gold racing above 5,100. Two metals that usually move together suddenly telling completely different stories. And this week, something happened that explains why. In one part of the world, government investigators stormed a brokerage office over suspected manipulation in the silver market. In another part of the world, a major exchange shut down trading. Yet millions of ounces of silver somehow changed hands while the market was supposedly frozen. No investigation, no explanation, just silence. This is not just a market story. This is a clash between two financial systems. And by the end of this video, you will understand why the future price of silver may depend on which system wins. For decades, the silver market has lived under a cloud of controversy. Many investors believe the price does not reflect the real balance between supply and demand. On paper, there appears to be endless silver available. Futures contracts, derivatives, and synthetic trading products create the illusion that millions of ounces can be bought and sold instantly. But in the real world, physical silver must be mined, refined, transported, and stored. That process takes time and resources. The core issue lies in the difference between paper silver and physical silver. Paper silver represents claims on metal. Futures contracts, options, and exchange-traded funds allow traders to speculate on silver prices without ever touching an actual bar. In theory, this system should help provide liquidity and price discovery. In practice, critics argue it allows an enormous number of paper claims to exist compared to the amount of physical metal actually available. Imagine a warehouse holding 100 real silver bars, while traders create 500 claims to those same bars. As long as only a few people ask for delivery at a time, the system works. But if many investors suddenly demand the real metal, the imbalance becomes obvious. That is exactly the concern spreading through the silver market today. In recent months, physical demand has been rising while inventories in major exchange vaults have been declining. Industrial use of silver continues to expand through solar panels, electronics, and emerging technologies. At the same time, investors around the world are increasingly purchasing coins, bars, and bullion as a hedge against inflation and financial instability. This combination creates pressure. When supply shrinks and demand grows, prices should rise naturally. Yet silver often struggles to move higher for long. Every time the price begins to rally, heavy selling suddenly appears in the futures market. Large blocks of contracts enter the system, pushing the price back down. To many observers, it feels as if two markets are operating at the same time. One market trades physical metal with real supply limits. The other trades paper contracts that can be created almost instantly. The real question is which one ultimately determines the true price of silver, and recent events around the world suggest that the answer may be changing faster than most people realize. This week delivered one of the most revealing moments the silver market has seen in years. Two incidents occurred thousands of miles apart, yet together they expose the deep divide in how different countries approach financial markets. In Hong Kong, authorities launched an unexpected investigation into a major brokerage firm. Officials entered the company's offices, questioned executives, and began examining trading activity linked to the silver market. The focus of the investigation centered on a practice known as naked short selling. For those unfamiliar with the term, naked shorting means selling an asset you never borrowed and do not actually possess. In the case of silver, it means placing sell orders for metal that does not physically exist. When large volumes of these phantom sales enter the market, they create the appearance of abundant supply, pushing prices downward. Chinese regulators appear to be sending a strong message. If traders artificially increase supply through naked shorting, they will face consequences. Now contrast that with what happened in the United States only days earlier. A major futures exchange suddenly halted trading in several commodity markets due to what was described as a technical issue. During the halt, ordinary traders were locked out. Screens went dark. Orders could not be placed. Yet later, data revealed that tens of thousands of silver contracts somehow changed hands during the pause. To put that in perspective, those contracts represented well over 100 million ounces of silver. Think about that for a moment. While the public market was paused, enormous volumes of silver were traded behind the scenes. When trading finally resumed, the price of silver dropped sharply. And so far, regulators have offered no detailed explanation. Two events, two markets, two completely different responses to potential manipulation. One government launches raids and suspensions. The other remains silent. Understanding this contrast is crucial because it reveals something bigger than a single trading incident. It suggests the global silver market may be entering a period where price discovery shifts from one region of the world to another, and if that shift continues, the consequences for silver prices could be dramatic. To really understand why the silver market looks so strange right now, you have to look at how this system was built in the first place. What we see today did not happen overnight. It developed over decades as financial markets evolved and technology changed the way commodities are traded. Silver used to be one of the simplest markets in the world. A mine produced silver, a refinery purified it, and buyers purchased the metal for jewelry, industry, or investment. The price of silver moved based on how much metal was available and how many people wanted to buy it. When supply was tight, the price went up. When supply was plentiful, the price went down. That basic relationship between supply and demand governed the silver market for most of history. But in the modern financial system, things became more complicated. The introduction of futures markets changed everything. Futures contracts allowed traders to buy or sell silver for delivery at a later date. These contracts were originally designed for miners and manufacturers. A mining company could lock in a price for its future production, while a manufacturer could secure silver at a predictable cost. In theory, this system made the market more stable. However, something else happened over time. Speculators entered the market in large numbers. Hedge funds, banks, and trading firms realized they could profit from price movements without ever needing to touch physical silver. Instead of dealing with bars of metal, they dealt with contracts. One futures contract typically represents thousands of ounces of silver. With leverage, traders can control huge amounts of metal with relatively small amounts of capital. This created enormous trading volume, but it also meant that the amount of paper silver being traded began to far exceed the amount of real silver stored in vaults. Imagine a warehouse that contains 100 real bars of silver. Now imagine a market where traders create contracts representing 500 bars. As long as most traders close their contracts before delivery, the system continues running smoothly. But if many contract holders suddenly ask for the metal at the same time, the imbalance becomes obvious. For years, that imbalance remained mostly theoretical. Very few traders actually requested physical delivery. Most contracts were rolled over into the next trading month or settled financially. Because of this, the futures market gradually became the primary place where silver prices were determined. The price on futures exchanges influenced the global price of silver. But over the past several years, something important started changing. Demand for physical silver began increasing in multiple sectors at the same time. Industrial demand expanded rapidly due to the growth of renewable energy technologies, especially solar panels. Electronics manufacturers also required more silver because of its excellent conductivity and reliability in advanced devices. At the same time, investors began turning toward precious metals again. Periods of inflation, economic uncertainty, and geopolitical tension often push investors toward tangible assets. Gold usually receives most of the attention, but silver also benefits from this shift in sentiment. Retail investors started purchasing coins and bars in record quantities, while institutions quietly increased their exposure to physical metals. As demand increased, inventories stored in exchange vaults started to decline. Large amounts of silver were withdrawn and shipped to other regions where buyers were willing to pay higher prices. Asian markets in particular showed strong demand for physical metal. In many cases, buyers there were focused on obtaining actual bars rather than trading financial contracts. This movement of metal created an interesting dynamic. While Western markets continued to rely heavily on futures trading and derivative products, several Asian exchanges emphasized physical settlement. Traders there were more likely to take delivery rather than simply close positions. That difference slowly began to reshape the global silver landscape. And when physical demand increases and inventories shrink, the system becomes more sensitive to delivery pressure. Even a moderate increase in requests for physical metal can stress the structure of a futures market that contains far more paper claims than actual supply. At the same time, price differences between regions started appearing more frequently. In some markets, physical silver traded at a premium compared to the futures price. These premiums signaled that buyers were willing to pay extra to secure real metal immediately. Whenever such price gaps appear, traders attempt to exploit them through arbitrage. They buy silver where it is cheaper and sell it where it is more expensive. This process often results in metal flowing from one region to another. Over time, large quantities of silver began moving from Western vaults toward markets in Asia and the Middle East. This trend raised new questions among analysts and investors. If physical silver continues leaving exchange vaults while paper trading volume keeps expanding, how long can the system maintain balance? Futures markets depend on confidence that delivery obligations can be met. Even if only a small percentage of traders request metal, the system must be able to provide it. As inventories decline, that confidence becomes increasingly important. Meanwhile, regulators in some countries have started paying closer attention to trading practices within the silver market. Concerns about excessive speculation, concentrated short positions, and potential manipulation have triggered investigations and stricter oversight in certain jurisdictions. These actions reflect a broader shift in how governments view commodity markets. Some authorities are emphasizing transparency and physical settlement. They want prices to reflect real supply and demand, rather than aggressive financial speculation. Other markets, however, continue prioritizing liquidity and high-volume trading activity. This divergence is gradually creating two different philosophies of price discovery. One approach relies on derivatives and financial engineering. The other emphasizes physical metal and stricter control over speculative practices. As the global silver market evolves, these two systems are beginning to collide. Investors are watching inventory levels, delivery requests, and regulatory actions more closely than ever before, because beneath all the trading screens, algorithms, and complex financial products, one simple truth remains unchanged. Silver is still a physical metal. It must be mined from the earth, refined, transported, and stored. And no matter how many contracts are created in financial markets, the amount of real silver available at any moment is ultimately limited. That reality is becoming harder to ignore, and it is exactly why the events unfolding in the silver market today could shape the next major movement in its price. Now here is where the entire picture starts to come together. The biggest story in the silver market right now is not just price movement. It is the growing separation between the paper market and the physical market. These two systems are supposed to work together, but the data suggests they are slowly moving in different directions. Let's start with the physical side. Across major global exchanges, the amount of silver stored in vaults has been declining. Week after week, more metal is leaving these vaults than entering them. When silver leaves exchange storage, it usually means someone has taken delivery of the physical metal and moved it somewhere else, often into private storage, industrial use, or international shipment. This matters because exchange vaults are the backbone of the futures market. Every futures contract represents a claim on silver that can theoretically be delivered from those vaults. As inventories decline, the margin of safety becomes smaller. If inventories were stable or growing, there would be little reason for concern. But when inventories fall quickly while trading activity remains extremely high, the system becomes more fragile. Another signal comes from regional price differences. In several Asian markets, buyers have been paying noticeably higher prices for physical silver compared to Western futures prices. These premiums suggest strong local demand and limited supply. When physical buyers are willing to pay more than the global benchmark price, it often means the real market for metal is tighter than the futures market suggests. That is where things start getting interesting. While physical inventories are declining and regional premiums are rising, the paper market continues operating at massive scale. Futures contracts representing hundreds of millions of ounces are traded regularly, even though the total amount of deliverable metal is only a fraction of that number. This imbalance has existed for years, but it becomes more important when delivery demand increases. Recently, delivery requests on certain exchanges have risen noticeably. More contract holders appear interested in receiving the actual metal rather than simply settling contracts in cash or rolling them into the next month. When delivery demand grows while inventories shrink, it creates pressure on the system. Another factor drawing attention is the buildup of open interest in upcoming silver contracts. Open interest represents the total number of active futures contracts in the market. When this number rises significantly, it means many participants are establishing positions that could eventually require settlement. In some cases, the number of outstanding contracts represents several times the amount of silver currently registered for delivery. That does not automatically create a crisis, but it highlights the dependence of the market on most participants choosing not to request physical metal. If too many traders decide they want delivery at the same time, the exchange must either supply the metal or encourage financial settlement instead. This is why some analysts believe the silver market is approaching a critical point. Physical demand appears strong, inventories are declining, regional premiums are emerging, and delivery interest is increasing. At the same time, the paper market continues to dominate price movements through high-volume futures trading. History shows that when physical supply tightens enough, the paper market eventually has to adjust. Prices must rise to attract new supply and balance demand. No one knows exactly when that adjustment will happen, but the current data suggests the gap between paper pricing and physical reality may be growing wider than it has been in years. And when gaps like that finally close, the movement is rarely slow. It tends to happen all at once. Now, I want to hear your perspective. Do you believe the silver market is being influenced more by paper trading than by physical supply and demand? Or do you think the current price simply reflects normal market forces? Many investors are divided on this issue. Some argue that derivatives markets are essential for liquidity and efficient price discovery. Others believe excessive leverage and synthetic supply distort the true value of precious metals. Recent global events have intensified that debate. Investigations into trading activity, sudden exchange halts, declining inventories, and growing regional price differences all raise important questions about how the market functions. Another point worth considering is the future role of emerging economic powers. If more countries begin prioritizing physically settled markets, the balance of pricing power could gradually shift away from traditional Western exchanges. That possibility could reshape the way commodities are traded worldwide. So I would like you to share your thoughts in the comments. Do you think physical demand will eventually force silver prices much higher? Do you believe current inventories are sufficient to meet future demand? And if you had to place a long-term bet, would you expect silver to remain near current levels or move dramatically higher in the years ahead? Your insights and analysis help make this discussion stronger, and I always read the most thoughtful comments. Before we finish, let's return to the question that started this entire conversation. Why is silver still hovering near the mid-$80 range while gold continues climbing to new heights? The answer may lie in the contrast we explored today. One part of the world appears determined to crack down on practices that could distort physical price discovery. Regulators are investigating suspicious trading activity and emphasizing stricter oversight. Another part of the world continues operating under a system heavily driven by derivatives and high-volume paper trading. As long as those two approaches coexist, the silver market will remain caught between competing forces. But if physical inventories continue shrinking and delivery demand continues rising, the balance may eventually shift. When that moment arrives, the price adjustments could happen quickly. That is why so many analysts are watching inventory data, delivery statistics, and regulatory actions so closely right now. Because the next major move in silver may not begin with a dramatic headline or sudden spike. It may begin quietly, with a few more ounces leaving the vaults, a few more contracts standing for delivery, and a few more investors questioning whether the paper market truly reflects reality. And when those small signals finally converge, the silver market could enter a completely new phase.